Hey MVPs, Rico Knows here. Going to talk to you guys about Dana White Contender Series. We always do these results shows because we're going to see these fighters again. They just got contracts. We'll probably see them on the early prelims on a main card, and we want to have notes and some type of record of what we thought of the fighters in the moment at that very moment. So we do these results shows. We can reference them back when we finally see them on a fight card, things of that nature. So here we go. This is episode 4, season 9, episode 4. The first fight of the night was Tommy McMillan versus David McGowan. McGowan also got his win money, even though he lost this fight. And Tommy McMillan wins the fight, stays undefeated. This is a training partner with Sugar Sean and all that other stuff. But what I saw in the fight, Tommy McMillan, they tell me he's a 4-time state championship wrestler out of Montana, fought in the regional scene in Montana. I see a guy that's not very efficient. I don't like the way he fights. And I'm talking about lactic acid building up in his arms, not having the power, and just not having any real ability to finish a fight after the first round. So when's he going to win this fight? How is he going to win it? Right? If they tell me he wins fights in the first round, that's cool. But how? Because I don't see the knockout power and I don't see the dominant high IQ jiu-jitsu. You know what I saw? I saw a wrestler. I saw a guy who understands how to score points in wrestling. I saw him attempting to do cradles, attempting to have wrist control. And a lot of that is valuable in folk style wrestling, freestyle wrestling, Greco-Roman wrestling, like a bunch of different types of wrestling. That's cool, but dude, I'm a former wrestler. I get it, but it's not what's going to win you fights in the UFC. So although they picked him, he had the dog in him, he came back, and all that other stuff. I think we fade the hell out of this guy when we see him on the prelims, especially against anybody with a gas tank, anyone who has the ability to finish. In this particular fight, McGowan over here was just gassed and couldn't throw anything. So they say they're both in the hospital right now. That's cool. They fought to the limits of their body. But if that's all you have in you, bro, I don't believe in it. If your wrestling skill set is your base, then why do you have 0 takedowns? Why did you only shoot 1 takedown? And then I see you striking, and it's just a stiff jab that he can throw and move, but it was just because he was fighting somebody who's extremely exhausted. I don't think he's a natural striker. I don't think he's very fluid. I will say this, for the weight class, being a featherweight, he's huge. I don't know how he makes weight, but that also tells me that he cuts a lot of weight. So he's probably exhausted in there, and that's why the lactic acid builds up. And we always bet on cardio, right? ABC, always bet cardio. We can't possibly bet this guy in a million years. I don't believe so at all. Being undefeated, we're going to probably get very good odds. And they might give him 2 or 3 fish to start his UFC career so he can stay undefeated and build some hype. But we're going to be on the purple side every time we see him. We're going to be on the value bet side for the most part, given the options we get. But we'll be on the value bet side when we finally see him on a UFC card, because Vegas is going to disrespect, and they know a lot of money's going to be on this guy. He's a fan favorite. They like him. I don't know. I was not impressed with what I saw from the fight, other than he had a lot of heart. Next fight, Eduardo Choplin. Don't worry about it. He didn't get a UFC contract. Looked a little boring, but he is a good fighter. I think he won because of an illegal knee. I think he won because of an illegal cage grab, but he wrestled well, and DC is his coach in wrestling. I thought he wrestled well, and they tell me he's not a great wrestler. He's a striker, but he's a very B-level fighter. If he ever shows up in the UFC, it'll be because of a late signing or a fill-in fight or something. Somebody canceled and he's close to making weight, that kind of deal. Antoine Ho, I can't stress this enough. He looks like the guy who dribbles really well before a basketball game. If you've ever seen guys warming up for basketball, there's always going to be a guy with crazy handles and all this stuff, and you look at him and you're like, man, that guy can play really well. And then we get in the game and he doesn't play well. Antoine Ho fights really well on the regional scene, and he warms up well, and he's very athletic in there, and but he looks like a sparring partner. And it's not because he doesn't have a killer instinct. It's not because he just doesn't understand that you're not there to just be a sparring partner. You're not there to just be someone who rolls with the guy. There's just too many times he rolls to his back and just pulls guard, closes his guard, does a lot of friendly grappling, a lot of friendly fighting. This is not the guy that's going to go out there and earn his keep to become a professional fighter. He's not. If you ever see him in LFA, PFL, or any of those, he's probably going to be a pretty accomplished fighter in those circuits because he's fighting lesser competition. But just know, he's just not a real gangster. Like, he's not a real killer at all. No, that guy's lame, bro. Yeah, not about it. Let's see who is about it. Mandel Nalo is 36 years old. He looks kind of like, who's the gatekeeper? Neil Magny? He looks kind of like Neil Magny. What I saw from his fight, and I made fun of him. He talks very soft-spoken. He's all this stuff. I said, yo, he's Canadian, 36 years old. Fuck this guy. We're not betting on this guy. This guy's terrible. And then he's fighting a guy named Silva from Brazil, from the middle of the forest. They said he comes from this village and all this shit. As soon as the fight starts, you see world-class kickboxing, like world-class kicking, where you got to start checking those kicks. There's just no way you can't check those kicks. You got to check the kicks, you're in trouble. Um, Nalo's got weapons, and it's in his legs. What I don't like about him is they tell me he's got no cardio, and so you got to take it and not go the distance either way. He's either going to win by knockout or he's not going to make it to the final bell. I like that. We know you're 36, so we'll see who they pair him up with. This guy should only be on Canadian cards. I don't want to see him in the U.S. too much, but shout out to him. I thought he was polished. I thought he looked like a good fighter. A lot of good striking. Didn't see any grappling whatsoever. But I think he knows what his skill set is. He knows who he is, and he's got that ability to just go out there and chop down trees. So if they're putting him up against a fighter who's gonna fight at distance, not close the distance, not aggressive, then we gotta believe in Nala. We're gonna be careful with who we see in the matchups. In my assessment, picking him to win fights probably won't be my route. It would be more like picking the prop of the over the under rounds, not go the distance or go the distance rounds. I wouldn't necessarily pick him to win a fight. Not with my hard-earned money. It doesn't work that way. But he did fight well in this fight, for sure. And Silva, good flight home, bro. You don't belong here. Next one, Theo Haig, recovering drug addict, teenage drug addict, all this shit. He's a jiu-jitsu nerd. That's what he is. He has no ability to fight. He'll put his hands up, look like a striker. He's a big guy, 6'2", 6'3", muscles. That guy can't fight. No, he can't fight at all. And I knew it immediately. I said, oh, we're not taking a drug addict jiu-jitsu nerd? Nah. No, we got this. Olachenko. Now, we know this dude, the Polish power dude. We know his brother, Michelle. And I can't say none of these names. I'm American. I don't try to pronounce anything with Z's and J's and C's next to each other. It's just dumb. J-C-Z. What sound does that make? Zuck. Zuck. Fuck out of here, bro. I don't know. But I can tell you this. That's a big dude. He's a banger. He's much bigger than his brother. He throw them things. And you know it hurt because he threw a simple 1-2, which is a jab cross. He threw a jab cross, and I could see he's not even pivoting on that cross. He's not even putting real power behind it. And he just wanted to touch you with it, and homie buckled. Hey, Buck, it must have been that meth mouth he has, whatever he has. But shout out to Olachenko. We're going to see what he does. We're going to see where he fights next. I'm making up names, by the way. I don't know how to say his name. I'm just saying random shit. So shout out to the Polish dude. I like him a lot. I actually do. I like the way he was able to avoid a takedown. I don't know if he can wrestle or grapple. He is training with the Fighting Nerds. I hope they just focus on a lot of jiu-jitsu and a lot of grappling to help round out his game, because it looks like the boxing part is down pat. This dude's going to knock some people out in the UFC. Yeah, he's going to knock some people out. Speaking of knockouts, John Paul Lebesani, Yanni, they gave him a fish out here. He's a minus 550 favorite. Shout out to Jack 50 Cal Cogden. I went and looked up his record and who he fought. He fought a dude he fought an MMA fighter with 111 losses. I am not exaggerating. This guy beat somebody with 111 losses. So while we were watching the warm-up, the first thing I told the MVPs, as soon as I saw the warm-up, I go, oh, he's a karate guy. I don't know anything about these fighters, by the way. I intentionally go into it not knowing anything about the fighters. Just like Dana White says he don't know about the fighters, so he gets a piece of paper from him. I watch these fights I don't do any research. I don't have time. It's football season right now. I don't have time to be looking at this. I'm checking injury reports and all kinds of shit, right? I'm busy all day. So I didn't do any research on these two fighters. I just see the promos, their little vignettes before the fights, and I'm watching Jack Congdon, and I see him throw combos. And I see him doing his thing. And I go, oh, that's a karate guy. And if you're not aware, MVPs, when I tell you somebody's a karate guy, that means they suck. That means they're not MMA guys. They're martial artists. And if you hear him, he's like, oh, I like MMA. I fight because I like the discipline. All that shit is taught in a karate gym somewhere. I'm going to tell you guys the truth. I was a mixed martial arts instructor for 20 years. I was an all-Army fighter in the Army. I'm a lifelong martial artist, jiu-jitsu fighter, MMA, blah, 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 all that stuff. I've done it all. And I joined a gym not too long ago. I think it was like 3 years ago now. And I joined to be the lead instructor at a gym. It was a job application online. It was on Indeed.com. And it said, we need a martial arts instructor, senior martial arts instructor to run this fight house. We have 300 students. And I thought, oh, man, that's perfect for me. I've been teaching forever. I want to go fight. I want to go do it. And they said, hey, we'll pay you $50,000. I said, cool, man. Let's go do it. So I get there. They bring me in. And I meet all the other instructors that are going to be working for me. I've never been a martial arts instructor outside of the military. I've been a hand-to-hand combat martial arts instructor in the military for 20 years. I don't know who you guys are or what you do or how you train. And I get there, and we do like a teaching session before the students come in. I'm teaching the other instructors, and I realized real quick, these guys are black belts in Taekwondo, all these different things, Taekwondo, and this, that, and this, that, and this, that. They're all these different black belts. They have a ton of them. It's like 6 guys. And I'm sitting there and I'm going, none of these guys can really fight. Like, all these guys suck. They're not real fighters. They're not real meat eaters. This ain't even real. They can't take a punch to the face. They don't know what blood is on their lip. Like, they don't know what it is. So when I see a guy like Jack Cogden, and I see that he's been training karate his whole life, or he's got martial arts experience his whole life, like, I don't like it. I don't think it's real. It's not effective. It's not applicable to real life. Hitting karate boards and breaking bricks doesn't impress me. Like, none of that shit's real, bro. If a guy's walking around with a gi on, he tells you 3rd degree black belt and some shit, he will get mauled by me. And I don't mean to make this about me. I'm just letting you guys know that that's what you have to understand about these karate fighters. It's like, they've done point fighting. They've done some competitions. Sometimes they do competitions with weapons. And they do all these fancy twirling of the weapons. That don't mean you can fight. That's how you get your belt. I started certifying black belts in all these different martial arts. And I'm telling you, and they were like, Rico, how are we gonna certify the black belts in Krav Maga this week or something? And I'd just be like, what the fuck? Why do we have so many students? I started showing up to the gym and like, yo, why do we have 300 students? There's only 40 fighters here. I'm trying to weed out the weak. I don't know who the fuck, but the gym owner tells me, hey, we need more students. It's a cult. They just need more people because they want to pay their bills. We need more students. We need more people. And I teach in the adult classes at night. And I'm like, this dude's here to get in shape. This dude's fucking hates his wife. That's why he's not at home. Like these aren't real fight. I need real meat eaters. And I don't think Jack Cogden's a real meat eater. Now, he might be tough and he might have won some fights somewhere and all that other stuff. But listen to me. When your base is karate, they're not throwing you out of the gym. They're letting you stay there as long as you pay the fees. You'll get the belts. You'll progress through the process. By the way, I quit being an instructor at that fight house in like 2 months. 2 months. And I wasn't an instructor. I was the lead instructor. I quit in 2 months. You can ask him. And I told the guys, bro, you guys aren't real. Like, none of you guys are in here really kicking ass and taking names. This isn't real. I only want to train people who want to be better fighters, not better people. Not, I'm trying to get in shape and I'm trying to do something outside of my work and I don't like you guys. So knowing that that's where Jack Cogden comes from, I can't get down with it. And I can just see it. It's kind of like when you can see the silhouette of an Asian person. I don't know if you guys do. I run a lot of trails. In the distance, I can see somebody's silhouette and I know if that woman walking is Asian or Indian or black or white. You can just tell by the stride, the walk, like everything about them. You can just tell from a distance. And I don't mean to sound crazy. I'm just letting you know. From a distance, you can be like, oh, that's not a real person. Like, that's this, that's that. Same concept with the fighters. When I see them shadow boxing in the vignette, in the warm-up, I can tell who's a real striker and who's just doing it for the video. Who's hitting that tire with a sledgehammer. Like, okay, I see it. But I can tell who's really got it and then who's just shadow boxing for the fake. And this is notorious in women's MMA. They'll be shadow boxing in the back all day, throwing every combo in the world. They get in the cage and they're like, and you're like, what the fuck? You can see it. So Jack, I knew right away he wasn't winning this fight. Long story short, I knew he wasn't winning this fight at all because he's just a rigid robo thing. And I said, he can't be throwing kicks. If you watch me during the live stream, I'm watching the fight. I go, he can't throw any kicks. He should not be throwing any kicks because he's not dynamic enough. He's not a real athlete in this regard. He just needs to keep punching and keep pressure and hope nothing ever comes flying back his way. Well, unfortunately for him, he ran into John Paul Lebayasani, and everything's coming back your way. This John Paul dude, once I saw his pedigree, he is a jiu-jitsu nerd, right? He's a jiu-jitsu nerd, got it? Learned from your dad. You were around all the Gracies and all this, and your dad was Hoist Gracie's striking coach. Well, let me tell you, Hoist Gracie's a terrible striker. So being his striking coach doesn't move me all that well. That's number one. But I will say this. When you're a kid and you grow up in jiu-jitsu, what's the problem? You've never been punched in the face. So all the Brazilian fighters, they all grow up in jiu-jitsu and they all do this. And then they start trying to pick up striking. And sometimes you find dynamic strikers and we see those guys, Prates and Rufy and all these guys. Okay, cool. Listen to me. What I saw in his vignette, in his warm-up video, was he was doing boxing matches. He was doing kickboxing matches. They addressed the striking early. He's probably been striking since he was 13 years old because they knew he already got the jiu-jitsu part down. He's a black belt in jiu-jitsu. I don't think you want to grapple with that guy. So he's already got that part down. The next part is his nutrition looks right. He's in shape. He's got every muscle in the world. He looks polished. He looks like a real fighter in the UFC. So I'm going to be very hard pressed to fade him. I'm going to be very hard pressed to fade this John Paul dude for a while. Just seeing, and it's not just the knockout, it's the full skill set. When I analyze fighters, I'm looking for a weakness. I don't see it. Now, don't get too crazy because they gave him a motherfucking can and he crushed it. They gave him an Uber driver. They gave him a lumberjack. They gave him a non-MMA fighter. That's a karate dude. That's not an MMA fighter. Remember, mixed martial arts. I need you to mix the martial arts, all of them. So I need striking. I need you to be able to box. I need you to be able to throw knees and elbows from Muay Thai, get takedowns from wrestling, jiu-jitsu submissions. I need to see everything all rolled into one. I see that with this John Paul dude. I was impressed. As a matter of fact, he's probably one of the more impressive prospects athletically and skill set wise since Loner Kavanaugh last year. Remember when I saw Loner Kavanaugh, I went, yo guys, that's a motherfucking fighter right there. And Loner's a little guy, and yeah, we just saw him lose against other people just recently. Shout out to Energy. But don't lose sight of this. John Paul, they're going to want to sell this guy. They're going to want to push him. A great American fighter. He's from the U.S. He's got the right skill set. You saw all the UFC fighters there congratulating him. They all came out to see him. The whole gym was there, and it's just UFC fighter after UFC fighter after. So metal sharpens metal. He trains in the right gym. He's around a lot of professionals, knows how to conduct himself like a professional. This is a guy you should be backing and probably believe in. And with the odds that they're giving him, especially against like a bum like that, they gave him 550. So against a UFC fighter, we might see him closer to 300 or 400. That's very parlayable at that point. So just be aware of that moving forward. Like the kid. Nonetheless, those were all the fights tonight. Hope you learned something about them. We'll reach back out on this video when we see these guys on the prelim card. Your friends don't know, but Rico knows. Peace, y'all.